Being transgender is extremely rare. Only 1% of the human population is considered transgender. Me included, a trans woman.
Look,
Ooh.
I'm a girl, hooray!
Whether you see this as being really lucky or extremely unlucky, trans women exist and live in society. And you probably passed a couple walking down the street. There is a plethora of trans women that do not pass, but there's a lot of them that do. And you really can't distinguish if they are cis women or not.
Stop blinking at me like that. I'm really horny. This is lit. You're actually like, oh man, I feel like a gay, but you're you're very hot.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're an actual like very hot man.
Thank you. Get your dick out again.
Okay, maybe you could tell, but the point I'm trying to make is, as a trans woman, as a trans person, you need to understand your identity and your role in society. The person I'm going to be talking about today is a trans woman that hates trans women. Yeah, I don't know. It's confusing for me too. Let's get into it. Blaire, Blaire, Blaire.
Mean review.
Where do I begin? So, Miss Blaire White over here caught my attention. She's like a conservative trans woman, like pick-me girl for like the right tards. And I didn't really look into her or like care about that side of the internet, so I kind of just left it at what it was until I got comments on my last video, or it was 2 videos back, telling me about Blaire White and how she's like this trans woman that hates trans women. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna investigate. I'm gonna put her in the notes. I'm gonna make a video about this. And now we're here. So where do I begin with Blaire White? Okay, here's how this video is gonna work. I'm gonna show you some clips of her clownery, of her delusions on screen. I'm gonna pause the video, I'm gonna talk about it, and you're gonna enjoy it. All right? You got that? You're down with that? You're cool? Okay. Thank you. Aww. This is the clip that really set me off into making this video.
You're a piece of shit and you deserve everyone dragging you. If Jack Murphy is a man, then I'm a woman.
But Blaire, you are a woman. You identify as a woman. You use the women's washrooms. I don't know why she has so much self-hate towards herself and her community. It's strange. It really is. I understand what she's trying to say. She's not a cis woman. She wasn't born with a vagina. I get that. But it's the words she uses to like bait cuck-servatives into being like, hey, I'm on your side, guys. Look at me. Look at me. I'm so red pill and based. Holy shit. Have you guys seen The Matrix? Another thing Blaire does frequently is just like straight up fear mongering.
When I was a kid, I remember being 2 or 3 years old and vividly telling my mother, I am a boy, I don't want to wear a dress. And it was all because of sensory issues of not wanting to wear the dress. I wanted pants, you know, and I didn't like the social construct of boys can do this, girls can do this, and there's no in between. And I feel like if I was born nowadays, I would immediately be a boy, you know, and right now everything is so protect trans youth, but what about protect autistic youth? And I want to know what, besides...
That's a video right there.
Besides,
Talk
like,
about a title thumbnail moment. Oh my God, yeah. Love it. Yeah, continue your question though, yeah.
I just need to get this in really quickly before we continue on with the rest of this video. Detransitioners do exist, and detransitioners are valid, right? The problem is, a lot of the people that go onto HRT and that start hormones don't detransition because they are transgender, right? And a lot of detransitioners only detransition because they were bullied out of their gender identity. Their family didn't accept them, and for other various reasons, you know, money, that can be another reason to detransition. There's only a small minority of detransitioners that went on HRT, hormone replacement therapy, and weren't happy with their results and stopped, right? 98% of people that go on HRT continue HRT and live as the gender they want it to be. It's a very small amount that detransition.
besides like, you know, the laws that are in place to stop kids from getting medicalized too early, besides that, what is something else that these parents can do to, you know, not, because one of my things is I would fear that if I was born nowadays, I would immediately be pushed into being a man. And I'm
You
not.
probably would, and that's like really scary to think about, right? Because look at you out here living and breathing as a woman, and that you wouldn't be, right? It's scary. It's just about information and fighting the censoring of the information, right? You know, Alex Jones said it right. It's an info war. It's really a war on information and who monopolizes it and who's telling the truth and who believes what, right? So it's literally just about these detrans stories actually being out there and people seeing it, because there's a false narrative that, and it's so stupid how anyone would believe it if you look at it from a bird's eye view. There's a false narrative that like trans stories are only success stories. And it's like, you know, people don't even believe their own eyes. You can see a lot of them, even that are success stories, are very unhappy, and maybe some of them shouldn't have fallen into it, right? It's just about improving education on this stuff, and also advice to parents dealing with it is, if you know the school's gonna get in there and teach your kids misinformation about, you know, gender and trans and all that, then it's on you to get in there before they do. You know, it's not a conversation that's easy to have, but I think that unfortunately, how moldable children's minds are, it's kind of about who gets in there first, right? And I think that if you are a parent concerned about that, you have to really, you know, understand the topic and get in there before the teachers do, because you can see what happens when they do, and it's really bad. So have that conversation first. I always say that, you know, it's a weird conversation to have, right? And it's not about sex. It's just about, you know, gender's different, but you have to be the teacher, you know. Don't give your kids to the state.
I find it extremely hard to believe that Blaire White actually knows what happens inside of a school environment in a curricular setting where they'd be teaching about gender identity and sexuality, right? Blaire doesn't know that. The parents don't know that. And a lot of Americans have this narrative in their head that, like, the teachers are teaching them, like, really provocative and just out-of-pocket shit, when I don't think that's happening, right? So when Blaire says shit like, oh, don't let the state control your kids, it's almost like fear-mongering in a way. What Blaire's saying here isn't actually bad at all. I actually agree with her to a certain extent. It's just the way she says it.
I'm a detransitioner. In high school, I thought that I was trans male. It turned out that I was not. And I guess my question is kind of, why do you think that the medical establishment is so comfortable misdiagnosing kids with gender dysphoria when they don't have it? Because
I'll answer this question. Because people who suffer from gender dysphoria, a wide majority of them, actually do fucking have it. So in 99% of the cases are like, okay, this person's transgender, and this person's going to be happier transgender. Then if you come in and say, hey, I think I might be transgender, they're going to look at each other like, okay, you are probably transgender. Silly me. Blaire White doesn't believe in trans kids.
Right? Like, I don't believe in trans children.
You hear that? If you're a person under the age of 18 watching this video and you identify as transgender, you aren't real. You are not real.
That motherfucker back there is not real. And you can sit on this.
Blaire really thinks that children getting hormones is abuse. And I think that's just an incredibly stupid take. Because, you know, kids are misguided and their brains aren't fully developed, right? But if they're talking with a professional and their parents are on board and they're on board to actually want to receive treatment for their gender dysphoria and they do take hormones, I see nothing wrong with that. That shouldn't be prohibited. The idea of just walking into a gender clinic and just demanding HRT and getting it is just so absurd to me. Like, maybe that happens in other places of the world, but you couldn't do that. You can't do that. Me in Canada, I couldn't do that. I have to go through years of therapy, years put on a wait list. I have to go through all this rigorous shit just to get access to my healthcare. Kids aren't trading estrogen and testosterone with each other on the fucking playground. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with conservatives.
Can dogs be gay? That's a yes. Can they be trans?
No.
She said, fuck no. What is like the youngest age you think someone should be able to medically transition?
I honestly couldn't tell you. I don't think there's a specific age that anybody just comes into their trans identity. I don't have an age for you. I mean, you know, as an AMAB person assigned male at birth, like, what do we go through puberty at, like 13?
I think so.
I'm like, anytime around that age, I feel like whenever these kids are coming into their own identity, it should be a conversation that we could have and not be so quick to say, oh, nope, they're too young, they don't know what they're talking about.
I think this queen here did a really good job of breaking down Blaire White's question and answering it. Because when Blaire White does street interviews, she either asks really open-ended questions or really leading questions, and there's no in between. To be honest, I don't think that's necessarily bad. Like, it's really good engagement bait for the people watching the video and the people answering the questions. If she was a journalist, though, this shit wouldn't slide.
How many genders are there?
Honey, there are as many genders as stars in the sky. It's all based upon...
Like infinite?
Yeah, honestly, it's a spectrum, right?
I'm just on the autism spectrum.
Okay, girl, me too, let me tell you.
And I also wanted to say I'm unvaccinated, and you can get exemptions. Where there's a will, there's a way. If anyone out there is worried about that.
Woo! I love getting polio.
The pure blood.
Oh, wait, what are we to you? We're conservative commentators?
Commentators. That sounds about right?
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm also trans, though. I have a right to be here.
She's transgender.
Nice.
Okay, so you're telling a trans woman she can't have her own opinion?
I am not.
Okay, then what's your problem with her being conservative?
Wait, hold on.
I have no problem.
It's not that you said there's a problem, but you're filming me saying these are conservatives, so it kind of sounds like you have a problem, even if you didn't directly say it. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I'm trans, I can be here. What are you doing? It's just weird. If you film people just because they're conservative, that's like some weird shit. You're on some goofy shit, sir. A grown goofy.
Grown-ass man.
Talking about, these are conservatives. Okay, so what's the reason you're filming that?
Right.
Is it like a zoo animal?
Right.
These are conservatives. He was the first president to enter office supporting gay marriage. No, it's objectively true.
Really not. Oh, is that what's happening?
It's true.
Trans and
Ew, they're like mentally ill.
supporting Trump?
I didn't read that.
That's prohibited. Oh no.
Why are they so mad? So, what's crazy is, as much as everyone acts like I'm, you know, the villain for asking people's opinion and not even really countering, right? Like, I've heard people all day say they support child abuse. How do you feel about gender-affirming care for minors being banned here in Texas?
The government should have no say-so in what a parent's decision is for healthcare for their child.
And I'm not saying F you, I'm not flipping people off, I'm not flying off the handle.
Now I need to warn you, the next clip is a Jubilee video, so if you actually have your brain functioning and you want it to keep functioning, this is where you would like the video and click off. So go ahead and do that. In all seriousness though, I thought this was too funny not to add into the video because, my God, Blaire White is a sass queen. Goddamn.
Yeah, I think I see a lot of different points from everybody here. Honestly, like, I can understand like how some women may feel unsafe with men in the restroom. Men. When I say men, I mean men. I'm not talking about trans women. So being a non-binary person that sometimes has the choice to either go into a men's restroom looking like this. Looking like this. You can look at me. Looking like this.
It's just interesting. I thought this was a trans debate. That's what I
don't
thought.
even.
Non-binary people,
I will
fall
follow
the trans
umbrella.
No, they don't.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe you could educate yourself a little bit on that.
I think I
and
could
maybe
educate
then you would figure out.
I think I could educate
you know what
right?
the reality is.
I'm
and what
sure there's
trans
a
actually means.
non-binary Jubilee episode.
Wow.
Well, because it's not a debate about who is really trans and who is not.
It can be.
We're talking.
I think it's really funny Blaire White is bullying this non-binary person because when I first transitioned, I would make a joke like, oh, non-binary people don't exist. Just pick one gender. How can you not do that? They're not even real. They're faking it. And the fact that she's like taking it to the extreme, saying, oh, you're not really trans. Ouch. Ouch. Blaire White, you got a new fan. I don't hate Blaire White like the title of the video says, but I do think she's a very controversial figure, and I would love to be her friend. I'm gonna end this off with the word of Blaire White herself. Take it away, Blaire.
So in regards to people who identify as non-binary, I think what's most important to understand is that the term non-binary was born out of academia. Think gender studies courses. It has no basis or legitimacy in, science or something crazy like that. When someone tells you that they identify as non-binary, they're telling you a whole lot less about their gender identity and a whole lot more about their ideology. The proof is in the pudding with the fact that you'd be really hard pressed to find someone who's non-binary and not a feminist. It's very interesting for me as a transsexual to see so many people running around claiming all these crazy gender identities when in reality, being transgender is an actual medical diagnosis. It means you've been diagnosed with gender dysphoria, which is basically an extreme discontent with one's own gender. When you observe the brain structures of male to female transsexuals in particular, what you see is that a lot of areas of the brain are actually similar to that of biological women. So you can kind of see how someone who's born with these brain structures could end up going through life and developing dysphoria, like, okay, something is off. And therein lies the difference between people who are transsexuals and, you know, lesbians running around with buzz cuts and wide swoops talking about how they're trannies when you're not.
You can't sit with us!
So label yourself whatever you like, I'll respect it. Perhaps I'm an enabler, I don't know, but I like to judge people based on their character, not the stupid ass labels they have to throw at themselves to make themselves feel better. I like to treat everyone with basic human decency, but for the sake of the banter, I'm gonna debate it on the internet, because that's what I love to do. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye!
Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy?